What's up, y'all? The Hand Down, Man Down merch is here. Go ahead to thatman.store and you can get all the merchandise that you could ever ask for. Hats, t-shirts, everything. Go ahead and check it out, man. We appreciate y'all's support.
Welcome to another episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. We're on the Come and Talk to Me Network. Shout out to my guys, Cam and Mace. That is the dynamic one, my guy, Bluu. We got a very special guest today, Bluu, but let's first pay some bills.
Shouts out to Underdog, y'all. Welcome, welcome. Go ahead and click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. That's M-A-R-K. They are matching a first-time deposit of up to $1,000. Also, you can get a specialty pick. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, I got another vlog coming out Friday. So go ahead and click the link in the description and check out my channel as well. Back to you, Pops. Go ahead and handle business.
I had to write it down. This is a special guest, my guy, family for life, four-time NBA champ, 19-year NBA career, 2015's NBA Finals MVP, two-time All-Defensive Team, All-Rookie Team, an All-Star, 9th pick in the 2004 NBA Draft for the Philadelphia 76ers, two-time gold medalist, a future Hall of Famer, and as class a guy that this league has ever seen, now doing this thing with the Players Association. My guy, former player of mine, the great Iguodala. What's up, bro?
How you doing, sir? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate all the love. Bluu, have we met?
What? Yeah, we met. You done seen me move around a few times. I was around the Warriors days.
Wait, how many boys are there? Because
there's 3 boys and obviously 1 girl.
Right.
Blue's
okay,
the
so
oldest.
Bluu, you look different than you did when I saw you before.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
You lost some weight. Am I right?
That's him. That's him.
I'm like, this is the same dude.
It's the weight, man.
And you got the facial hair too.
Yeah. For y'all that don't know, I was a little bigger. I was hefty before, but I slimmed up. I got a little better.
You was a smooth player.
Like,
I see how you was moving.
Appreciate you. It was hard on the knees though. I couldn't keep it up.
You was a smooth player. I'm like, oh, he the smooth one.
Appreciate you, Drake.
You come on the show throwing assists, trying to smooth him over and make him feel good so he doesn't give you any hard questions.
Nah, that's good. That's nice. I appreciate that. It's not all the time we get somebody showing love right away. So I appreciate that.
And it's not all the time guys have suit and ties on and Bloomberg in the background. This guy is absolutely doing it big.
No, like I always watch Bloomberg. It's just what's always on during the daytime for me. I only really watch like 3 channels. I watch Bloomberg, Golf Channel, and I watch games, obviously, because, that's work. But, that's where I get all my news. Obviously, I'm in the tech space. And then sometimes, like, you used to say this, like, you gave one of your speeches before one of them Clippers games. You talked about getting dressed in the dark, man. That was one of the coldest speeches I ever heard. And I keep struggling I keep forgetting how to get to the end of the story, how to start it. But anyway, you got to not psych yourself up, but if I got important days, I put a suit and tie on. It just makes me rise to the occasion. Like I got to be on. So it's just a reminder, like on important days.
We talked about a little bit about me hooping. I heard your son's doing some big things too, Drake.
He's doing all right. 6'8".
Wow.
He's 170 though, but he got a burner. Like he can shoot. And, we learned this, Coach, through our kids. Like they grow up a little different than we grew up. And so, like, can they get that, like I got to take from somebody? Because, we raise good kids. They don't have to take from people. And so I got to keep reminding them, like, no, son, like, you got to go. It's like it's going to feel different for you because you grew up in a 1,000 square foot room, yours alone. But like a really good kid, good teammate, good intangibles, knows how to hoop. And it's all about, can that switch turn on to like get me.
Did you say 6'8"?
6'8", 170.
Wow. Well, you're still thin, but you was thin even back then.
Yeah, I was like 6'6", 175 myself. So people think I'm just bionic, man. Like, no, I had to work. Like I was naturally thin like him. Like I was a little bit more cut, a little bit more athletic, but like the way he shoots it, like I didn't shoot like he shoots until the end of my career, which is crazy. Like he got a burner. Did
he get the burner from the being able to go to the gym and get shots up and spend time? Where we didn't have that luxury, really.
Right, like a lot of New York guards, Like a lot of y'all guards had handles. Y'all just dribbling around the block all day, going to the park. It's hard to shoot on them double rims, and like you got to get to the basket. Where him, obviously, he saw Steph and Clay. I got the picture of the father son Steph and Clay. The Warriors event they did back in the day, but he wasn't always like in love with basketball, and I never forced him. So all I did was like, yo, we're gonna get this shot right at the minimum. And so I just had him shooting. And then now that he found a love around like his 8th grade freshman year of high school, he started loving it. And in the past 2 summers, like he like, I want to go to the league. And like so now I'm seeing how he's a late bloomer, but I was a late bloomer too, and I'm all good with it. And so he's tracking the right way, and I'm just letting it happen naturally as opposed to trying to force the game upon him.
Now, let me ask you a question. When did you fall in love with the game?
Oh, I fell in love with the game in like kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah, like hoop was in my blood at like a young age. And like that's our outlet where we come from. Like I keep saying, like our kids, life is good. They got options. And so like basketball was like my piece. And then my mom was 6 foot tall, my uncle 6'6". So we had like a few hoopers in the family. Not like great hoopers, but they loved the game. And so like I think I just had a natural talent for it early on, being a second son, older brother, trying to chase him. And then where we come from, basketball community, Boys and Girls Club, it was just different how we grew up. Like you just outside all the time, and like basketball was what you did. And so like that love, the outlet was like there from like the very beginning.
I hear people say, I don't know where the original quote comes from, but find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. So for you to still be involved in basketball at the level that you are, how does that feel?
Depends on the day. Because at the end of my career, I told myself like, you play. I think like maybe did I play too many years, and people don't understand the mental health side of being a professional athlete. And, like some bad habits I picked up, continuing to play, could have, gotten that time back or spent more time with the family, the kids, but never have regrets. It's all learning experiences. And even now in the role that I'm in, it's more of a duty, one code I try to live by. I think it was like something in karate or some type of discipline, like real high discipline. It was a taekwondo or a jujitsu. One of them disciplines I read, like a kung fu master say, once you've mastered something, it's your duty to teach it. And I do think we all have that duty and responsibility to take care of, the craft that we're supposed to love. And if you're in the NBA, you should love the craft or have a love for it. Provided the dedication, the discipline it takes to even get to this level, and respecting your God-given ability, because you got to have that to get here too. And so I try to live by that. And so in this role that I'm in now is, I remind folks sometimes where they don't like my decision making is like, I didn't apply for this job actually. Like I wasn't fighting to try to get in the door and get this job, but it was an opportunity where the guys on the board wanted me to come in and they wanted me to do a few things that were in my wheelhouse. And I was like, hey, I got a duty to show up for the guys and make sure that, we continue in the right direction and we're ready each step of the way when we're planning out 5-10 years ahead.
In the role that you currently have, how important is it, similar to a basketball team, overseeing all of these players, how they have to not be so selfish and understand it's about the team collectively prospering?
Yeah, well, the difficult part, as you know, is as these salaries go up, the more money you got, the more you think you know more than everybody else. And we all suffer from it as athletes. If you don't have that ego or that confidence, you won't be the player that you should be and need to be. So like the ego is a healthy thing. It's when it crosses that threshold where it's detrimental to you as a person and as a player. And so what I'm trying to do here is get the guys to understand like this is their business and this is a collective. And so all our value is based around how strong the players can be as a collective, meaning they got to come together. And, I know I hear a lot of old school players talk about, players too friendly with each other. But as you know, you've been through lockouts, like the real lockouts. What was that, 95? We almost missed the whole, it's like 94, 95, we almost missed the whole season. Patrick Ewing was player president at one point. You even go back to when the union started. Bob Cousy was the first player president, and Jerry West being involved, and Oscar Robertson being involved, and I think it was Red Auerbach during the All-Star game. It was a little strike, and Red Auerbach was beating down the door saying, "If you don't come out of there," speaking to his Boston Celtics players, "then you'll never play for the Celtics again." Right? Sounds insane, right? And so just kind of hearing how far we've come, we've always had a strength in our collective, and we can't let our strength, which is people tuning into our game, and that's how they value our game, or how the streaming services are valuing the game. We can't let that get in the way, or get us away from our true value, which is that group economics or that collective value. And so just getting them to understand that, like, we're making decisions here for the collective, and there's a lot of decisions that may not make sense in real time, but it's to support them and their business, and how the market sees them as well. Like, that's very important. So there's checks and balances, and there's things they may not like about some of the decisions that are made, but they're made in the best interest of the product and of the game, which is who they are. Like, there's no game without the best players in the world.
So recently, talking about some of the current NBA storylines going on, some stuff went down with Joel Embiid. I know sometimes with players and reporters, it can get kind of awkward with the relationships. Do you have a commentary or thoughts on the way that all went down?
Yeah, initially I'm upset because, a player got suspended, and he was essentially reacting to, I feel like, what was disrespect and a personal attack on him and his family. And so, we talk about players and their duty and what they mean to the game. I think we've also lost the sense of, like, what it means to be a journalist nowadays. Like, every time I see David Aldridge, I'm like, yo, you are the one. Like, he was the essence of what real journalism was about. Like, he did his homework, he studied it, he was respectful with his questions. But you can ask hard questions. You can write an article that's critical about a player, but just be respectful about it. And so, rules are rules, and every company and every business, even the markets, personal conduct, can, bring a stock price down, and that's the consequences of our actions. And so, the NBA has to react as a brand. They are the marketing engine behind our league and our players. And so, you want to work in partnership with them. And I think we have a healthy relationship right now. And so you respect the decision that there was physical contact. It was minimum, but it was there. So, there are consequences in our actions, and you got to have compliance and with the rules. But we're still working through some things, because we do need to set a higher standard for how our players are spoken to. And there should be a standard of professionalism in journalism as well. And maybe basketball players or the league, we're the ones holding them to that standard if they can't do it for themselves. It's essentially gatekeeping. And so, we're still having those conversations. Like I said, the relationship with the league is going really well, but we're still working through some things. But that's got to change too. We've gotten into this world of sensationalism, where journalists, you know, the main thing is to get clicks and views, and unfortunately, it's through negativity as opposed to positivity. And I played in Philly for 8 years, and still, some great things come from there. But I'm also suffering some trauma from when I was there as well. And so, you know, we can better equip our athletes and on the mental health side, and getting prepared for certain situations and how to react to them too.
Spinning off, going to your playing career, you talk about the Philly days. We'll get to that in a second, but I wanted to ask you about the early Warriors days, having my father as your coach. What was that like? Because I know he nags me all the time. I just want to know what he was saying.
No, it's a perfect transition. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And coming from Philly, you only know being there. Then I spent 1 year in Denver, and so I got to see like something different. It was the first time a team had an actual practice facility. Now Philly has one of the best facilities in the league in terms of the practice facility. Now they're trying to build a new arena. So I was just able to see like different scopes, like interacting with the media. Like in Philly, I had to do media every single day. It was like mandatory, and I had to deal with just like peppering questions about who I am as a human being and what they thought I should be. And it was interesting. But when I get to Denver, smaller market, and, one of the sunniest cities in America. I think it's a sunniest state in America. So like everybody's just bright in a good mood. It's just not as, contentious. And so that was interesting to see. And so going into free agency, the Warriors didn't even have cap space. And this is the funny thing about playing against the Warriors in the playoffs. When I was in Denver, I always tell people, like, you learn your opponent or you learn the other team by playing them in a playoff series. Like, I know who I want to be on my team. I know who's the secret weapon on the team, who's really the wink link on the team, who's holding the guys together, like who's the adult in the room, like, who really folds under pressure. And playing against the Warriors, I think we played y'all maybe like 10 times that year, 4 times in the regular season and 6 times in the playoffs. And one thing I always watched was like interaction with players and their coaches. And for me, going into that off season in free agency for the first time as an unrestricted guy, like I set up a meeting with the Warriors. And I think I told coach this, like, man, I've been in the league for 8 years. I'm knowing the average length of career is 4 years. I'm at the end. Like, this is my last deal. This, which I just what I'm assuming based off numbers. And so what I did was I said, Coach, man, I just want to end my career being happy and enjoying playing the game that I love. And I see your players having the joy, having a ball out there in the court. That's easy for me. And they didn't even have salary cap room. And so, by the grace of God, you know, uh, Bob Myers, Rob Pelinka figured some numbers out. Dwight Howard stalls everything in free agency. Supposed to go to Dallas. He's stalling it. Opened up a position for me in the sign and trade, and I get to the Warriors, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I enjoy going to work every single day. Um, you know, Mark has his principles, and you understood them and respected them. Uh, I remember I always had my guy rebounding for me, coming to shoot, and he was like, "Nah, I got everything you need. Like, I don't want no outsiders in my gym." And I didn't look at it as like an. He was just like, I didn't look at it like a dictatorship. I was like, man, I actually respect that. That makes sense. Anytime I went to the gym at night, he was in there. like stuff like that, like just that goes unnoticed as a player. You respect and you appreciate. Like, I just had a ball playing basketball again, and it's like, the business of basketball can kind of take some love away from the game, and that's just all I wanted to do. Like, I tell the story all the time. One of my favorite things that I've ever seen or experienced was when he told Steph Curry in front of the entire team, like, "You the man." And I'm letting you know that so you can be confident, but I'm also letting you know that in front of everybody else. So in case anybody else might think different, they understand. And I played for, I think Mark might have been like my 8th coach in the league. That was in my 9th season, 10th season. Like, I had 6 coaches in Philly, 1 in Denver. So yeah, coach was like my 8th coach. And I just never seen a coach like support a young talent like that. And it was just incredible to see. And then I seen how he's talking to Clay. Draymond always had that great energy. How he let Draymond be Draymond. And then one of the funniest teammates I had was Jordan Crawford. And Jordan Crawford had an incident one night where, he said something he shouldn't have said to an assistant coach. And Jordan Crawford had a rap to him, basically how he was perceived amongst, GMs, fans, owners, whatever. The players, we can play with anybody, but he was, I still talk to him to this day. Good dude, Detroit player is what I call him. And, the way coach handled that, I just was like, whoa, like, it's just small things like that, when you talk about great coaches, those intangibles don't show up. Maybe like, it's like analytics. Some things just don't show up in analytics. So like those things I was able to, kind of put in my back pocket to be like, I'm gonna take this with me. It was a great experience.
So let me piggyback off of that, and I appreciate all the love that you showed and expressed with that answer. I believe that your number will be retired with the Warriors, hanging up in the rafters. You are the first guy that changed the culture by coming on board and showing that, really in a crazy way, putting a stamp on everything that was being built and established there. It showed we were wanted. We wasn't chasing everybody, and it was somebody that saw something from the outside and put a stamp on everything that we was doing. So I acknowledge your greatness, your professionalism, and your incredible career, and you continue to make me proud, not just what you did on the court, but what you continue to do off the court.
Appreciate that. And thank you, for kind of, like I said before, bringing that love back. Like nobody wanted to live in San Francisco, Oakland. Like when you went to Golden State, guys didn't know where you were going. It's like, where are we going? Are we going like somewhere in California? Like we stand in San Francisco, but we plan like guys just don't understand how that all works. Like I don't even know if we were flying into Oakland or if we were flying into San Francisco. It all depended on the trip. And so, historically, never have a success. I don't know, we won 50 games that year. Like that was huge. So like, just thank you for that. I always try to show love. I know all the guys were heartbroken when they made that decision. And everything works out how it's supposed to work out. But like I think how we feel about you and greatly appreciate it.
No question about that at all. You get me emotional over here. Let's. We played you guys. We were a 6th seed, and you was in Denver as a 3rd seed. And everything you talked about is the reason why we won the series, because we were tied together and united. Did you know, playing against Klay and Steph, how special they were?
So I played with Steph in the 2010 World Championships. So we were the B team, if you remember. Steph was on that team. But Steph wasn't ready yet. He still had them baby ankles, and he was still light in the behind. And nobody knows this about Steph's career, but it's not like his Achilles heel. But the European players throw him off all the time. Like the Goran Dragics, the Ricky Rubios, because they got like that. They got that gamesmanship to them where it's like borderline, like, yo, I'm ready to fight. It's just like under your skin. And so they always like that was like Steph's like first time on the international stage. So he was still growing a little bit. But I know he could shoot it. And that series, and I'm always a guy, I never give too much respect to my opponent. I don't care if you score 50. Like the only time I've ever I had to be like, yo, this dude's like different. I always knew Kobe was different, but when he walked in my locker room and told me he was going to score 50 on me and he scored 49, that was just like, yeah, that's Kobe. So when Steph was killing us, I don't really see it, because I'm telling myself like, no, I'm the best player on the court. That was my best playoff series of my career. Like, Gallo went down and I just got a rhythm and I just had it going. And because I think I've never averaged like 20 in a series or in a season, but that's like that series I had it going. But I was guarded by Klay, and I had to guard Klay. And that's when I was like, yo, this dude is good. I remember George Karl. Like, George Karl doesn't like me. All up.
Well, welcome to the club.
Right. Because I was telling you our game plan because you asked me why we playing dirty. And I'm like, I don't know why I don't play like that. That ain't even a game plan. It's just lack of game plan is what it sounds like. Right. So when I was playing against Klay, I was making tough shots. I'm like, man, this dude can defend. And he was strong. People don't understand how strong Klay is and how great of an on-ball defender Klay is. Like, Klay get lost off the ball because, this is Klay. But Klay's always been a great defender. But I remember talking to our coaches. I won't say George. Talking to our coaches, and they were saying, like, help off a little bit off Klay. And I'm like, nah, bro. Like, nah, I ain't. This ain't normal the way this dude's shooting his ball. Like, he shoot it real fast, and I'm turning around, the ball going in. I stopped leaving him like by game 2-3. I'm like, bro, I'm not leaving this dude. He was like, you can help. I'm like, bro, I'm out here. I know like something different about this dude. Every time I help a little bit, he don't miss. And we already got one hot dude. Why am I letting? And so I didn't know too much about Klay. Then you gave me some really good background on Klay in terms of like how his situation at Washington State went down with the what do you call them? Authorities, right? Like that situation, like Klay didn't even do anything wrong, but then how it kind of caused him to drop in the draft, and then how he got to you, and then you even spoke about his draft workout. Like I remember all that stuff, and it all made sense with what I felt when I was playing against them. I'm like, yo, man, there's something different about this dude, man. He gotta, like, I just knew he was different. But when you get on the floor with them, and then you make those comments, I see why people thought you were crazy, but if you in there with them every day, it ain't crazy. And then every time you hear a player come to the Warriors and they spend a month with Clay and Steph, what do you see from those guys? They jump straight on the podcast and be like, yo, these dudes are different. Because you get to see it up close. Like, dudes would be like, yo, how is Steph shooting full court shots and he just making it and there ain't nobody reacting? I'm like, nah, we see this every day. Like, you saw that. And so now I understand why you said that.
Now, growing up in Springfield, Illinois.
Hold up, we can't just glaze over that. Kobe told a defensive lockdown defender, "I'm getting 50 tonight," and scored.
Good
And got
point.
49.
Good point.
He didn't tell it to me. He told it to a lockdown elite all-time great defender.
So he came in the locker room and told Lou Williams and the whole team, I was on the court shooting. He walked in there and said, where Dre at? And I had locked him up before that. He went like 2 for 17. I held him to 17. And Phil Jackson said that's the greatest defensive performance I ever seen on Kobe. And this was in Philly, in his hometown. And Aaron McKee said something to him. And Aaron McKee was my vet my rookie year. And so I might have been one of the best defensive performances on Kobe ever. And so he marked that date on his calendar. And he walked in the locker room and was like, yo, tell him 50 tonight. And Chris DeMarco, I told him the story when I was with the Warriors, when I got to the Warriors. And he went on whatever that site is where you get all the games.
Second Spectrum?
It was before Second Spectrum. We had it back then. It was the pre-Second Spectrum. But he went and got the game. And he was like, bro, the next day he's like, bro, I watched the game last night. Because I was telling him, like, yo, I played better defense when he scored 49 than the defense when he had 17. And he couldn't, but I was like, bro, he was shooting from the P in Staples. Half court. And he was like, what? I'm like, bro, I remember the game like it was yesterday. And I was like, Chris Webber's my guy. I was like, man, see, Webb was getting me killed because, you know, they in that triangle and he kept getting the brush screen and he coming off the pick and roll. He just kept calling for that pick and roll. Paul Gasol hitting me and he just stepping up, pulling up. And I was explaining how the game was. I'm like, bro, Maurice Cheeks, Kobe left the game with like 6 minutes to go. He had 49. So he had 50. And we get blown. I sub out. My face is like defeated. And Maurice Cheeks shook my hand and said, you did a great job, young man.
You can't do that.
What? But Chris DeMarco came the next day and was like, bro, you played amazing defense. He was like, bro, he made some crazy shots. I'm like, I told you, man. That wasn't all on me, but I take them all because it was on me because it was for me. But man, oh man, that was impressive. Man, you be having my nightmares about that.
It's worse players that can give you 49. That's a solid 4. That's an all-time great. So we take that. Going back, so Springfield, Illinois. I know that you were named Mr. Basketball. So early on, you knew you had game. But was there a moment where you were like, all right, I got a shot?
Yeah. So going back to high school, I was like a late bloomer. So I only played AAU 1 year. I had a teammate that was younger than me who was like the guy. He was LeBron's class. I think his freshman year of high school, he was actually ranked higher than LeBron. So I was put on through him. Like, hey, I got this young dude, like he getting better. Or not young dude, older guy who's getting better. Like he should be a part of the team. That's how I actually got on. And I was always a point guard, naturally. They called me Penny Hardaway as a kid. And then I just grew 6 inches after my freshman year of high school. And then the athleticism kicked in. I was a high jumper. Track was like I was better at track at that time in terms of like talent and rank in the country. And so it just all came together that summer. And it was all about confidence. Like early on, like I was deferring the guys. Like I thought they were better than me because they were from Chicago. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, which is like, you know, everything's down south to Chicago and we all country bumpkins. And so, you know, I'm even learning just how to fit in with Chicago cats. You know, they laughing at me because we just do things differently. But by like that second, third tournament, the AAU coach is like, yo, you the man. And I'm like, you know me, like when you're a late bloomer, you don't know. Somebody tell you something, you're like, oh, okay. And that's kind of always been like my trajectory every step of the way. And so I actually didn't know. I had no idea I was good enough to go pro until agents start calling me in in college. And I'm like, why y'all calling me? Like, I was immature and goofy like that. But I always had that love for the game. Like coach was saying, like, we weren't taught like to be knockdown shooters growing up. Like it was all at the park. And one mixtape was big back then. Then once you learn how to jump, you trying to dunk everything. And then you got a coach saying dunk everything. And so once I got to college, I knew where I needed to polish up on. But like high school was a great experience. And I hope we get back to that in high school where, you can build a legacy in high school. You don't jump from one high school to the next. And, I know the Europeans have their model their way in terms of professionalizing their youth sports in the correct way. But like that was like the special time. Even before that, like it was special to have a legacy in high school. And so in high school, like I actually was chasing that, like city tournament. I broke the record for points and rebounds. Like I was going after that. We were the first team to go to state in 20 years. Like that was exciting. And so that's probably like those are the joyful years of basketball. I always tell kids that like the younger you are, the more joy you have with the game, because the older you get and the more you move up, it's now the numbers and the for profit come along and they trying to exploit the most they can out of it, which takes a little bit away from the actual game.
Let me ask you about something that I heard you touch on, NIL and how kids getting paid and how it's affecting today's game. My only stance is I thought before coaches had too much power. And it was all right for them for 100 years, 100 plus years to, in certain areas and aspects, abuse that power.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever spoke on it. Mm-hmm. So now that the rabbit has the gun, I think it's been less than a year and change that now we want to talk about the kids and how we need to change things. I certainly believe that changes should be made. What are your thoughts on that?
I do think kids should be paid, especially when you go through college and you got $5 for the week to eat. Like I've been there. And so kids are for-profit entities that are bringing these college institutions a lot of revenue. You look at COVID and you see, universities and colleges looking at going bankrupt because the only thing that held them up were the sports. And you talk about the two revenue generating sports in basketball and football. That says a lot. And it's kind of sad it happens where most of those sports are filled up, 80, 90% African Americans. And it's like exploitations because as a tennis player, as a golfer, ice skater, gymnast, those specialty sports, you're able to go pro at, 12, 13. Whenever you can go under par, you got a good enough time or you got a fast enough serve, you can for profit. But I do think with team sports, there is a maturity level and a professionalism that needs to be had and a proper respect. And when you talk about what sports are for, community building, what you gain from sports, there's compliance aspect to it. There's a leadership skill set to it. There's a radical candor, which is constructive criticism. There's sacrifice. I'm holding you accountable. You can get on me. I can get on you. It's about the collective. I'm reading this book called Behave now by Robert Sapolsky, and it talks about the frontal lobe doesn't develop in men until 24. And now we're asking these 19, 20-year-olds to make decisions that they should not be making, and how others on the outside can take advantage of that. Obviously, we see that every single day with our athletes and how they're being taken advantage of by, parents, coaches, agents, anybody that can get their hands on them. And that's what it's become. And so I think there are like solutions, but the issue with the NCAA is, how it's set up. And I think is it on the federal level? I forget which level the NCAA is on, but it's really hard to make changes there. Like it might take you years because you got to go through legislation to get something simple done. Whereas, in the NBA, if we say, hey, we want to speed the game up, so we're going to, put an 8-second rule in to get across half court to kind of speed it up. We do it within 2 months and it's in play right away. Right. And so like you start seeing the differences. But, back to the point about properly letting our youth develop, So when they do transition into the professional ranks, they're ready mentally more than anything. They need to have a proper respect. And I think the money gets in the way of them having that proper respect. We talk about like 13 and 14-year-olds now who will tell you straight out, like, I'm better than you right now, and I'm going to the league. I'm like, this is like when I was 13, when I was 18, 19, I didn't think I was good enough to get to the league. I'm like, man, I got to do a lot of work. Like, I ain't ready yet. Like, I only saw 2 people ready to even think about the NBA. And I'm saying not play, think about the NBA when I was in high school. And it was Carmelo and it was Amari. And Carmelo went to college. And Carmelo was like, I was thinking about staying in college. And he's even so much better than, the young guys today. Like, they just don't have the proper thought process. And it's not their fault, And I think the solution is you just delay the gratification. And where we're in an era of social media where everyone wants to be liked right now, and that like button, or everyone wants to be told they're the greatest right now, or everyone has a mixtape right now. Like, we got the best 7-year-old in the world now we're ranking. It's kind of crazy. So you set the money aside, put it in an endowment for them. You give them goals. If you get drafted, sign a contract, the money's accessible. If you get your degree, the money's available to you. If you don't, you got to wait till 30, 35. It's like a trust. Like how we got a trust set up for our kids. It's pretty simple. And you're setting them up, to be responsible adults. I see a lot of institutions are actually being smart with, setting them up with, tax education classes, like how to properly pay your taxes. Like, these kids don't know about taxes, so they're getting 1.5 million in NIL, and they done spent 1.5 million not understanding. Now you $750,000 in the hole. You were in debt because of an NIL deal. And I think those are the things that we have to be mindful of. But the athlete has never been the priority in terms of being taken care of. Is always being the priority to exploit, to make money off of.
You just laid the blueprint, Pops. That's why you got the suit on just now. You got.
That's why he's in the big chair.
Okay, I got a question on a side note. Mm-hmm. It's maybe a sore spot for you, but what's the bigger play, man? The block or the KYRIE shot?
I get flack. I've been getting flack from Warriors fans from time to time when I give love to Kyrie. I love Kyrie Irving. Maybe one day I'll say, who used to get mad at me for talking about Kyrie? It's not Steph, so don't worry about that. Steph's securing himself. Like, he's one-on-one. Who's my favorite player? But I like Kyrie is like one of my favorite players. Like, after Steph, like, it might be Kyrie. And that shot was it was a tough shot in general. And in that moment and on that big stage, and you're on the court with LeBron James, like it just speaks volumes. I always say I give a lot of love to J.R. Smith for the block, because kind of J.R. set the stage for it. And because the way, like, Steph threw a great pass, and I could have I was going up to dunk, but J.R. almost swiped it. I'm a swipe down guy, and so I would have got it. But the way he swiped down, I had to move the ball out of the way, which threw my body off, but wouldn't allow me to dunk. I would have had to dunk it like this, like backwards. So I had to move the ball, and then I had to readjust my body. And I was like, yo, you got to just make the layup. Like, why try to dunk? Like, just make the layup. And this dude, like, they used to have a code. Remember, Coach, they had a code, the defense for LeBron's teams would have a code. Just run in front of the offensive player and slow him down just so LeBron could catch up. Like, right. People don't know that. Like, he's had a million amazing blocks. And when I went up to lay it up, like, it really sounded like an M80, like fireworks. It was like, boom. And that was like, I felt him block it, like, not on my body, but this the vibration on the backboard. It was like, boom. And I swear to you, excuse my French, Coach, I was like, oh, what was that? I was like, I didn't see him block it. I just heard boom. And I heard, ooh. And I was like, yo, I didn't even know he blocked. I'm like, what the hell just happened? That was loud. And then the play kept going. I'm like, damn, he clinked it up. Like, and I remember talking to Chris Hayes, I think the next year, and he was like talking about the block like it was a sensitive spot. I'm like, man, that was one of the best plays I ever seen too. Like, I'm a fan just as much as any of you. And our guy Raymond Ritter. I remember the following year, so that was 17. We go up 3-1 on them. But we go up 3 points, and it's like they needed a three with maybe like 14 seconds, 10 seconds left in the game. LeBron under the basket, and I'm guarding him, and I relax because he's under the basket. They needed three, so I just relaxed, and that was his gamesmanship. And he gave me a little bump in the chest, and then he got space, sprinted to the corner. They threw it to him, and I'm like, oh my God. And LeBron is more clutch than people would like to give him credit for or know. And like he making that shot, and I strip him, and you hear Mike Breen goes, blocked by Iguodala, which is funny. So I get him back. But nobody would talk about that. That LeBron block was incredible. Like I was a fan of it, looking back on it.
Awesome. Right. That was a special play. And really, in my opinion, only one guy makes that play.
Yes.
You touched on something earlier. I don't believe that the Warriors win 4 championships if you don't have Klay's ability to defend point guards. Mm-hmm. He changed the game with his ability to fight through screens, stay connected, and it was unbelievable to watch from when he came into the league to becoming an elite, all-time great on-ball defender.
Mm-hmm. It's just people get enamored with different parts of the game, and they lose. I don't know if they don't have the ability to have that aspect of being able to see it, or they just don't pay attention to it. But we used to always say it: you got to finish top 5 in offense and defensive rating to win a championship. And so, as much as people talk about the Warriors' shooting ability, the way they scored the ball, the way they changed the game, we always finish top 5 in defense when we won championships. It's just that people are so enamored by one thing, and I think that's what separates us as professional athletes in general from the rest of the population, because we have a proper understanding of like there are things that people will never see or appreciate that need to be done in order for me to even get there and at a higher level to win. And I think that's what made those teams special. And like Draymond's one of the all-time greats defensively. But it's like I had 2 all defensive teams in the NBA. I had 0, and I made the Olympic team for my defense. And so you got to have great team defense. Like I was one of the best defenders in the league. Like that's one thing I'll argue. Like I'll toot my own horn about my defense. Like there's nobody who can guard like me on the perimeter. Like I was sure of that. But I never made all defensive team. But it took me to be on a great defensive team for it to be recognized. And when you have Klay defending the way he's defending, when you have Bogut defending the way that he defends, when you have Draymond just being Draymond. And I don't think people understand how strong Steph is too. Steph is a better defender than people realize. Like even when people would try to go at him, they would struggle to get the bucket. And I'm like, they're actually taking away from them. They slowing themselves down. They don't have the same rhythm. The ball ain't moving, and they spending more energy than they would like trying to get a bucket on them. And so I think like that goes unnoticed. And a big part of that was like Klay taking on Kyrie. Like he had to guard Kyrie. Klay taking on a John Wall when it was John Wall. You had some great point guards.
Dame Lillard,
James Harden, Chris Paul was Chris Paul. Chris Paul never gets the respect that he deserves. Like he's one of the best point guards of all time. And so, being able to be dynamic and put big bodies on those guards and slowing them down, like that would be something that people just fail to, properly understand.
Another player that's been in the headlines lately since the beginning of his career, Kevin Durant, an amazing player, but it seems like people are not even giving him the level of respect that he deserves. How great of a player is Kevin Durant?
Yeah, I was just in Italy at a sports festival in Trento. They were showing like big love, big basketball, big sports community. And I was just explaining to them. I always go back to this story. My god brother, Lawrence Thomas, the second. His father was the first person that told me that you going to the NBA. He told me when I was a kid, but everybody going to the NBA according to your family. But his father like really meant this. He was my first basketball coach, so close with the family. I brought him out to the Warriors, and I was like, yo, I want you to just sit up here, just watch KD. Don't watch nobody else, because he was there for the week. I said, today, you only watch Kevin Durant, no one else. And then you really watch him train after practice. Watch him just work out. That's all I'm gonna say. So we practice. KD does his thing. I'm lifting weights. I do my thing. I shower. I'm like, yo, you ready? So he comes from downstairs. We headed to the car. He come down. He got tears in his eyes. He said, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I said, I told you. He said, yo, my life has changed forever. Because, like, you know, when you mix talent like that with someone who actually loves the game, that's how you get Michael Jordan. That's what people don't understand about MJ. Like, MJ had the talent, MJ had the love, and MJ had like this crazy affinity with competition. Like, he just wanted to kill people. That's just even that's deadly. Like, that should be against the law what MJ was. But like Kevin Durant being 7 feet tall, and Kevin Durant moving like he's 6'2", and then Kevin Durant loving basketball like the way he does, like, oh my God. And we call it KD makes. Like, that was the game we would play as the others. Clay got his rim, Steph got his rim, and KD got his own rim. So there's only one rim left. So it's 8 of us getting our workout in on one rim. We're only counting KD makes. And so that was the way you could just lock in and just to see how this guy moves. I mean, I watched him not too long ago against who were they playing? The Clippers. No, it was Philly. The game against Philly. Paul George first game back, and they're down 6 or whatever late in the game, and how he just took over that game in his 17th season in the NBA. You know, fans can say whatever they want with how he interacts with them, but he's at the point now where, hey, whatever this man want to do, he can do. Like, he's held the game down. They can feel however they want to feel about him, but like, he's a one-on-one. There will never be another Kevin Durant. Or everyone wants to be Kevin Durant. Like, that's what they're going to be trying to emulate. Like, Wembanyama is like, I watched Kevin Durant train. Like, now I know what it means to be special in basketball. Like, that's a different level to get to.
Did he have tears? You said he had tears in his eyes?
No, like, his eyes were watery. Like, I'm serious. Like, because I'm trying to explain to people, I'm like, yo, KD's different, man. Like, you ain't never seen nothing like this, man. It's beautiful to watch. Like, if you like basketball, just watch him work out. And he was like, there's the difference. People, you know how it is, coach. People really think like, oh, I can shoot better than you, or let's play one-on-one. I'm like, man, you have no idea what it means to be an NBA. Like, it's not even close. But when I'm telling you about Kevin Durant, it ain't even close with us to him.
Wow.
So just watch it. And like, he saw it. Just the way he handles the ball, perfect cuts. It's just like watching a conductor or a pianist, like Beethoven. Like it's perfection. You don't miss a note. You don't miss a chord. It all flows together. Like, it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Who is your GOAT basketball player? I know your answer, but I give you the room to talk about it.
Well, I think what MJ meant to the game and what he did, his makeup, he was like Larry Bird said, like, God was like, I'm going to take my time with this one, or I'm going to just give him a little bit of me. Go ahead. I'm going to throw some of me in you. Go ahead and do that. Like, Larry Bird said that. He was like, man, that was Jesus Christ, man. Like, this is crazy. And when you look at like the size of his hands compared to his height, because MJ is only like 6'5". People don't understand, like, MJ is not like, he doesn't have that crazy stature. Like, Kobe was 6'5". Kobe was light. Like, I had a lot of success with Kobe in the post when he tried to guard me. But like, MJ had a 50-inch vert or whatever his crazy vert was, 1 leg, 2 leg, crazy big hands to be that size. He wore size 13 and a half. He was naturally thin and skinny. He had to kind of bulk up, but he truly had not one flaw in his game. And when we say game, I'm talking about his skill set, whether it's shooting ability. Like, he wasn't naturally a ball handler. Like, I go back and do my homework. Like, Kenny Smith was like, yo, you can't handle the rock. And he came back and had handles, right? He actually could pass the ball. He just like, I want to put this ball on your head. Like, I'm scoring every time. He just had that killer mentality. He actually was super fast. Like, he was fast. You see how he moved early in his career? Like, maybe he was ahead of his time, but he was just really fast and like super athletic. He stayed healthy. But you go beyond like just the physicals and the skill set. You talk about like his approach to the game. Like, the game is like, no matter what goes on in my world, like when I show up to the game, you're going to get my max effort. And like I said, with KD, is like you got a talent, you got with the God given ability, and you got the love. But with him, it was like taken to another level in terms of like his competitive edge. Like he really wanted to kill you. Like imagine somebody knowing they better than everybody. It was like like he was like he had Shaq's mentality with his skill set. Like when Shaq got mad, Kobe would say like, man, when Shaq got mad, it was scary. But Shaq wouldn't get mad every day. So like imagine Shaq like I'm breaking everybody's head every single night. Like that was like Shaq was just a playful dude, but like MJ had that. And then like you add in like his charisma, you know, his IQ in terms of like how he knew how to speak to the fan base, how he knew how to interact while he showed up. And then it was a perfect time for him. You know, no social media. You know, he can go out and be himself to a certain extent. You know, the cameras like he can like get away from it. Now it's just like they're just invading your space, and that's kind of like affecting the mental state of the athlete at times. But like, and he always won. Like you can't take that away from him. Like I know people say, you know, they try to. He only played 13 years for real, if you think about it. Like he had 2 years from Washington, but this dude only played 13 years in the league, and like the dominance, like nobody could beat the dude. And regardless of what people say, that was the greatest era of skilled big man maybe in basketball history. Like you played with a couple of them, coach. You played with
Right.
Patrick Ewing. You played with Rick Smith. People don't know how good Rick Smith was.
Absolutely.
Like Rick Smith was that dude. Everyone talks about Arvydas Sabonis was the second best player in the world. Talk about him. David Robinson was a problem. And then my favorite center was actually Akeem Olajuwon.
The real deal.
Like Akeem, like you had the greatest skill set in bigs, and then even your power forwards weren't as athletic and weren't as skilled in terms of like, you know, didn't have no shake or shimmy in their game, but and they didn't shoot threes. But them dudes were reliable. Like the Davis brothers, the Davis boys, like man, imagine somebody trying to go down the lane right now. Like, and I feel like that's gamesmanship in the game of basketball. Like MJ had to go to the hole knowing he was gonna get hit upside the head. Like that says a lot. You know, we freed up the game a little bit for, you know, to be more movement, more freedom of movement. But people say like you had to guard one on one with MJ, but yeah, MJ beat his man one on one, but then he had Detroit was whooping his behind once he beat his man. Like people don't mention that as well. And then you even go to that team like Isaiah Thomas, the same age as MJ. He likes to remind us of that, but like, you know, he took him out. You know, like MJ was he was just different. You know, he didn't let the outside things affect when he played, and like when you put all that to account, because that's not taking anything away from the other guys. That's just saying how good he was and what he did for us and how he inspired us and how we emulated him. It's just, you know, head and shoulders above the rest.
Let me ask you another guy you played with. I played against 3 times, I believe, and faced him in the playoffs. I got as much respect for him as anybody ever faced. Is Allen Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
Gets such a bad rep.
Mm-hmm.
Is a class guy with a tremendous heart. Doesn't get the credit he deserves as a person.
Well, he was the one that put like that confidence in me. Because you always need that person that lets you know like who you are. Sometimes you just may not know. And, you know, like I keep saying, I was a late bloomer. I just didn't know. Like I had agents calling me and I'm like, why are you calling me? And they like, I want to represent you. And I'm like, for what? You know, like that's just me being young and not knowing. And you know, I know who to fault. I don't fully blame them, but like when you're in college, the coach hold all the power, right? And so the coach telling me I'm not good enough every day because he wants me to get better, but he wants me to stay. There's some mind games in there. And so when I got to the league, like I was enamored by like, I'll never forget like Rip Hamilton, because he was at UConn, won a chip when I was in high school. Big UConn fan. And Rasheed Wallace, because I was a big Carolina fan. And I remember they were in Detroit, and I'm in like, yo, that's Rip Hamilton, man. Like, he nice. And AI just went off on me like, man, what is wrong with you? You better than them. Like, you, like, hey, man, don't ever say somebody good again. Like, and I needed to hear that. And AI was, you know, polarizing figure. AI was somebody that came to go to work every single game. Yeah, he may not like to practice. Like, people, hey, I would practice. But at a certain point, he's like, all right, man, I'm good to go. Like, my bodies need to rest in between. Now, nobody practices. So maybe he was ahead of his time, right? Like, now coaches complain, man, we don't have enough practice time because we don't want to practice too much. Like, we just need like a day here and there where we can practice. But he was a guy that he did so much for me and my confidence and like get me to understand like who I am or who I need to think of myself to do what I need to do. I remember he was talking trash to LeBron one time. LeBron said something. He was like, "No, that's my young head. Keep leaving him open. He gonna crack your head open." No, you know what? It's like you, coach, telling Clay or telling Steph. Like, my teammate told LeBron he better stop playing with me. Like, that does a lot for your confidence. And what he did for the game of basketball too. Like, you had white people with cornrows, man. They're like, this is crazy. You talk about like the election happening, you like, you making America great again. Like, white people were wearing braids, man. Do you know how transcending you got to be?
Yeah.
You tearing up happy homes. What is going on? I hope I don't get in trouble for that, but whatever.
Great stories. Let me ask you a couple more questions before we. So thankful for your time. You talked about Michael's impact, and you're in the business world doing extremely well.
Mhm.
Talk to us about how LeBron James changed the game by making people aware, not just in basketball, but you see it in all sports now. People aware just how much power they have individually as an athlete.
Yeah, LeBron is a gift and a curse, and I only say curse because I'm in the jokingly way. Every NBA player's entourage thinks that they should be running the player's business, and I have to remind them, like, listen, man, LeBron's people did it the right way. They did internships. They worked for Nike for free. They worked for the agency for free. They did the market studies, and it's LeBron James too. So they vetting deals. They getting on the job experience because there's so much deal flow, and then like they just have a network of wealth and knowledge that they can access, and it's like they didn't understand that. But speaking to LeBron, and Stephen A. Smith said it, he spoke about LeBron not too long ago in terms of like he's the epitome of how you extract the true value of your brand. These athletes today are billion-dollar entities, but they may end up getting 300 million out of their career, so they don't even maximize 30% of their true value. And for LeBron to be the first athlete to be a billionaire while he's an active player, and he did something that never been done before, which I think is special in itself, because it's hard to be kind of the guinea pig and it actually worked. Like, you can watch other people do it and kind of follow the blueprint. Like, Michael Jordan had a blueprint with David Falk in terms of being the first basketball player to kind of treat themselves as a brand, like a high-end sport like tennis, like with Arthur Ashe. I read The Ball Truth by David Falk and kind of saw how he got his blueprint and how to build MJ up. But for LeBron to do what he did, I know it's like Ashton Kutcher was big in tech, but LeBron being able to, put deals together that, benefited him beyond just an endorsement check. You hadn't seen an athlete be able to put equity in his deals, and then you see the equity grow and be able to, really realize the gains and the equity of the deal. And then you see a lot of players, coming behind him and doing the very exact same setup. And I think that's where you got to pay LeBron the ultimate respect and kind of having the foresight to see how to conduct his business and do it the right way. And, it was respectful. It was charismatic. We've never seen an athlete have so much pressure and so much put on him to try to even meet those expectations. And he actually was able to exceed them. You got to give him nothing but, the ultimate respect.
What comes to mind when I say Steph Curry?
I don't know if you remember my initial press conference with the Warriors. I'm like, yo, this dude like Jesus Christ for real. And you don't want to be blasphemous, right? You try not to be blasphemous. But I've never seen a person like live exactly the lifestyle they say they're trying to achieve. Like, I'm trying to be like Steph, and I fail every single day. Like, like I'm trying. Like, it's hard. Like, and then you like, how is this dude doing this? And when someone is that true to who they say they are, for them to have like that killer in them that people don't know he has, is even more special. You're like, yo, man, you learn his flaws, but they aren't real flaws. Because Steph be in the cloud sometimes, but he's just a genuine human being, and just the way he carries himself, man. It's only but so many people you would really jump in front of and take a bullet for. Like, for real, like, like, man, like, we ain't letting nothing happen to him. And so I'm not hoping any danger comes his way. I'm saying, like, he's the one that's like nothing happens to him. I've been security for him many a times. Like, no, he ain't signing no autographs today. Back up. And nah, man. No. And you taught me that too, coach. I know I'll never tell the story about the furniture. We can't put that on. I never forget that. I tell that story all the time to like my friends. I tell my friends that story all the time. But
Can
it's
you share
like,
the furniture story?
no, I can't. Coach, no, I can't neither. I can't. Because like, he married to a beautiful woman, and so we can't say that. We can't put none of this on it. But Steph is like one of those people who is like, yeah, we protected him at all costs. And what he's done for the game of basketball, like, he actually changed the game. Like, how many people in basketball history changed the game? Like, he changed the rules. He changed how it was played. Like, Wilt, we got 3 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like, MJ, the fadeaway. Everybody want to do that. The post up of a guard. Kareem, hook shot. You can add LeBron in there, just powerful, strong guards that just dominate high usage, just kind of like, longevity and what it means to take care of your body, and being athletic for this long, and the IQ at that size and stature. KD, you can kind of put in there with the way Wembanyama speaks about him, everybody wanting to be, 6'11" guards. But they changed the game for Steph Curry. You have to shoot 73s a game now. Steph, they keep saying you ruined the game. Like, yes, because the only way you shoot 73s is if you shoot like Steph. There ain't nobody else who can shoot like Steph. That's what we keep missing from this equation. But that just speaks to like the basketball side of him. And so, just to have that great talent, but who he is as a human being, like, coach, like, these aren't tall tales. Like, this dude is like really that human being that we should be trying to be.
Another guy that you were close to, and you told me almost 10 years ago that he's as good a defender the league has ever seen. And I'm like, oh, he's a great defender, but I'm not going that far. You told me about Jrue Holiday. I watched him, I witnessed him, and I didn't give him the credit he deserved. I knew he was a great defender, but he is an absolute all-time defender, as you so eloquently described to me years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw him as a rookie, and this was me in my prime, where, if I got the rebound and I got my stride, I was baby LeBron, what they called me, because I was going to dunk it. And early on, like, he stripped me 2 or 3 times, and I'm at full speed at him. Like, nobody in the NBA is stopping me. Like, even Ron, if you catch me full speed, Ron try to pick me up at half court, like, I'm moving him around. And he stole the ball from me 2 or 3 times. I'm like, yo, like, it's something different. Like, it's not an accident. And, I seen him. He had matchups against Derrick Rose. He has a special matchup with KYRIE. Only Evan Turner can tell the story correctly. But, like, I knew he was different early on. And we go back to the New Orleans series where the Warriors were in our heyday with KD. He guarded KD. He guarded Steph. He guarded Clay. Like, whoever got hot, they just switched them on him. And then he'd cut the water off, and then we just win another. We just had too many weapons. But when you have Kevin Durant telling you who the best defender is in the league, you probably should listen. And it's like, and, Rudy Gobert's taking a lot of flack, and I truly believe, like, he has a defensive presence. But KD is telling you, Jrue Holiday is by far the best defender in the league. Like, Jrue Holiday can change the game in terms of, like, how do we truly assess, or how do we vote for certain credentials and certain awards? Like, go ask the best offensive player in the league who the best defensive player in the league is. That's your defensive player of the year.
Yeah, it's crazy. They put Drew Holiday on Joel Embiid in the playoffs. It's unbelievable.
That don't even sound right. Right? It sounds like, nah, they just a switch. And then you see him 6-7 times. You're like, no, he really guarding them. That's just it speaks volumes. Like he's guarded everybody in the NBA, every single person.
Well, there you have it, future Hall of Famer, family for life, my guy. Love you to death, man, and appreciate everything you stand for. Thanks for joining us and making some time for the Mark Jackson Show. The great Andre Iguodala, man.
Thanks, Coach. I always appreciate you, man. I think this might be the first podcast I done did since I done had this role. So, yeah, man. Hopefully, I paid it enough. I didn't hold anyone too accountable. They upset with me. So,
No. Keep up the awesome job, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Coach.
Shouts out to Underdog. Don't forget to click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. That's MARK. They're matching a first-time deposit of up to $1,000, and you'll get a specialty pick. Appreciate y'all.
Remember, I was watching a video just recently of a young girl singing at the great legendary Apollo Theater. She was singing, and the crowd booed her, showed no mercy, just booed her. She was nervous, didn't panic, kept on singing, but they kept on booing. She turned it around. That young girl today we know as Lauryn Hill, 8-time Grammy Award winner, legendary singer. She kept on singing. You may have had a bad moment. You may have even had a bad day. I'm here to tell you, this just in, greatness is in your future. Keep singing. Blessings.